You've probably heard the phrase a million times: build wealth, get rich, invest, save, hustle. The financial world is filled with these buzzwords, promising the pathway to success. But the truth is, it's often a lot harder than it sounds. We all have visions of being financially free, of achieving that millionaire status we see in the movies, on Instagram, or even in our own circles. But here's the thing. The road to that dream isn't as simple as making a decision one day and then suddenly waking up with millions in the bank. In fact, the journey to wealth begins with something far more important, something smaller, yet more impactful than most people realize. And that something is $10,000. Now, I know what you're thinking: $10,000? That's not nearly enough to retire, to buy the dream house, or to travel the world. But trust me when I tell you, reaching your first $10,000 is a game changer. Let me take you back to a moment in my own life when I first heard this piece of advice from a self-made millionaire. I was skeptical, of course. I mean, we've all been told to set big goals, right? Why settle for $10,000 when we can aim for millions? But here's the truth. At the time, I couldn't even fathom $1 million. It seemed so distant, so unattainable. But $10,000? That's a real milestone. It's the number that bridges the gap between wishing for financial success and actually starting to build it. It's the first tangible goal that shifts your entire mindset. When I first hit that $10,000 mark, it was like a light bulb went off. It wasn't just about the number on the screen or the balance in my account. It was the feeling of accomplishment. The realization that I was actually making progress. Suddenly, the thought of saving $50,000, $100,000, or even $1 million didn't feel as impossible anymore. $10,000 opened my eyes to what was possible. It made me realize that building wealth wasn't a pipe dream, it was a process. And I was on my way. In today's video, we're going to dive into 6 powerful reasons why everything changes after saving or earning your first $10,000. We're going to talk about how hitting that milestone doesn't just give you a financial cushion, but it reshapes your entire perspective on money and success. You see, it's not just about having a higher number in your bank account. It's about unlocking the mindset shift that turns you from someone who wishes for wealth to someone who actively creates it. If you're ready to step into a new chapter of financial growth and development, then you're in the right place. In this video, I'll break down exactly how your first $10,000 can be the key that opens doors you didn't even know existed. I'll show you how it sets the stage for financial momentum, how it gives you the confidence to tackle larger goals, and how it protects you from life's unexpected twists and turns. Plus, I'll share some real-life examples and personal lessons to help you understand just how much this small, but mighty, amount of money can change your life. Stick with me through this video, because we're not just talking about numbers, we're talking about empowering you to take control of your financial future. So, if you've been wondering why everyone says $10,000 is the magic number, if you've ever been stuck trying to figure out how to get started or how to break through your own financial barriers, I promise this video will give you the clarity and insight you need to take action. Now, before we dive into the 6 reasons why your first $10,000 is so life-changing, I want you to think about this. What would $10,000 mean to you right now? I'm not talking about spending it, I'm talking about what it represents. The sense of security, the freedom to make smarter financial choices, the confidence to take on bigger goals. Whether you're just starting your journey or you've been working on your finances for a while, this first $10,000 is the foundation for everything that comes next. So, let's get started. Grab a notebook, take some notes, and get ready to unlock a new level of financial understanding. By the end of this video, I want you to see that hitting $10,000 isn't just a milestone, it's the launchpad for your limitless success. 1. Breaking the first mental barrier of wealth. Reaching $10,000 isn't just about the numbers in your bank account. It's about shattering the mental barrier that has kept you stuck in financial struggle for so long. Before you hit that first $10,000, saving or earning large sums like $100,000, $500,000, or even $1 million can feel completely out of reach. You look at those figures, and they seem so distant, so unattainable. But here's the thing. Once you hit that $10,000 mark, something profound shifts in your mindset. Suddenly, the idea of making $50,000 or $100,000 doesn't feel so far-fetched anymore. You begin to see that it's possible. Your brain changes, and what once seemed impossible now feels like an achievable next step. I can speak from personal experience here. I remember when I was first starting out and barely scraping by. I had a side hustle here and there, trying to make ends meet. But the idea of saving up $10,000 was a far-off dream. It wasn't that I didn't believe in myself, it's just that I had never seen that kind of money before. The first time I crossed that $10,000 line, though, it was like a mental switch flipped. I could suddenly picture myself making $50,000, then $100,000. It wasn't magic, but it felt like I had unlocked something that had been hidden from me before. Once I saw it was possible, the game changed. Here's the thing. Until you've crossed that threshold, you just don't know what's possible for you. Think about it this way. Have you ever started a new project? Whether it's a side hustle, learning a new skill, or even just a simple task, and felt overwhelmed? Maybe you were playing a new video game and saw that intimidating level 99 mage. Thinking to yourself, there's no way I'm going to get there. That's exactly how most people feel when they look at financial goals, especially when they're at square one. Those larger amounts, $100,000, $500,000, can seem like levels you'll never reach. But once you cross that first mental barrier, once you save or earn your first $10,000, it's like leveling up in that game. Your brain shifts, and suddenly, those higher levels, financial milestones, don't seem impossible anymore. You look at $50,000 or $100,000 and think, if I could build $10,000 from nothing, why not keep going? Why not aim for $50,000? Or $100,000? It's like gaining new confidence in your ability to make things happen. It's no longer about just dreaming, it's about believing that it's possible for you. This isn't just some motivational fluff, there's real science behind it. In fact, a 1997 study by a psychologist named Bandura found that breaking mental barriers, especially by setting smaller, attainable goals, is one of the most crucial factors for long-term success. Bandura discovered that people who set small, achievable goals were significantly more likely to succeed than those who only set vague or larger goals. The reason is simple. When you set small, measurable goals, your brain can focus on progress, rather than being overwhelmed by the enormity of the bigger picture. It's much like how, in video games, once you hit a small milestone, say, reaching level 5 or defeating a certain boss, your confidence grows. You start to believe that you can take on the harder levels ahead. It's the same in personal finance. Once you break through the $10,000 barrier, your brain starts working differently. You start to see yourself as someone who is capable of making bigger financial decisions, managing larger sums, and taking more calculated risks. Your confidence grows exponentially because you've just proved to yourself that you can do it. For me, hitting that $10,000 mark was a breakthrough. It was the first time I felt like I could stop chasing money and start making it work for me. The first $10,000 doesn't just change your bank balance, it changes your entire relationship with money. It goes from being something you're constantly chasing, to something you can manage and grow. Once you've seen $10,000 in your account, you start looking at other opportunities with a different lens. And here's a surprising thing about the $10,000 mental barrier. You don't need to already have it all figured out. You don't need to be a financial genius or a Wall Street expert to make that first $10,000. All you need is the willingness to start, the discipline to stay focused, a clear plan of action. It's about getting your feet wet and learning the process. That $10,000 is the beginning, the first proof that you can keep going and continue to level up. Once you've seen that $10,000 in your account, the process starts to feel more real. And that's when you realize, if I can build this, then the sky's the limit. You can keep scaling up from there, because the most important part is already in place. Your belief in your ability to succeed. So, let me ask you this. What's your $10,000 moment going to look like? Have you already reached it? Or are you still working on it? No matter where you are in the journey, understand that this first milestone is more than just money. It's about what it represents, a shift in how you view your own potential. And that, my friend, is what makes all the difference. Once you've broken that first barrier, the path forward is clear. Now, it's just a matter of pushing yourself to the next level. 2. The momentum effect. Snowballing your savings. Once you've crossed the $10,000 threshold, it's not just about holding onto that amount, it's about harnessing momentum. Think of it like rolling a small snowball down a hill. At first, it might seem insignificant. It's just a little ball of snow, rolling slowly, picking up tiny flakes along the way. But as it keeps going, it starts to grow, gaining speed and size with every turn. And the best part? The faster it goes, the more snow it picks up. That's exactly what happens with your money after you reach that first $10,000. The power of momentum kicks in, and suddenly, things start moving much faster than you ever thought possible. I remember when I first started saving and investing, every dollar felt hard-earned. And it seemed like progress was slow. For example, I set a simple goal of saving $1,000 a year. And with an average return of 10% in the stock market, it would take about 8 years to reach $10,000. At first, it was a little discouraging. 8 years is a long time, right? But here's the thing I didn't fully understand back then. The moment you hit $10,000, everything changes. That's when the snowball effect begins to kick in. Let me break it down for you with a simple projection to show how this momentum works. $0 to $10,000 right pointing arrow. This would take you about 8 years if you're saving $1,000 a year and getting a 10% return in the stock market. It's a slow climb, but you're getting started. $10,000 to $20,000 right pointing arrow after hitting that first $10,000. This next milestone would only take you about 4.7 years. You're making progress, but the journey is speeding up. $20,000 to $30,000 right pointing arrow once you hit $20,000. You're now looking at just 3.5 years to reach the next $10,000. $30,000 to $40,000 right pointing arrow by the time you're at $30,000. You're getting there in just 3.3 years. $40,000 to $50,000 right pointing arrow, and from $40,000 to $50,000. You're looking at a mere 2.2 years. What you'll notice from this is something powerful. The more you build, the faster you build. With every new dollar you add, the momentum carries you forward, and you're able to reach your next milestones quicker than you ever thought possible. This is the magic of the snowball effect. It starts slow, but it accelerates over time. Think about it like a snowball rolling down a hill. The first few moments are slow, but with each revolution, it picks up more snow, gets bigger, and picks up speed. It might feel like your progress is small at first, but once you hit that first $10,000, the trajectory of your wealth building journey starts to take off. The incredible part about this momentum effect is that you can make it even more powerful. Let's say you get a raise at work, or you start earning more from a side hustle. If you go from saving $1,000 a year to $2,000, or even $3,000, suddenly, you're stacking even more snow onto that ball. The momentum builds up exponentially. For instance, imagine you're still saving $1,000 a year, but now you're getting a 15% return on your investments instead of 10%. Your journey from $10,000 to $20,000 doesn't just take 4.7 years. It might take only 3.5 years or less. Depending on the rate of return and the contributions you make, the faster your snowball rolls, the faster you can start hitting those next levels. I can tell you from personal experience, there's something incredibly rewarding about seeing your money grow faster and faster over time. It's like riding a wave. At first, the wave is small, and it takes time to build momentum. But when you finally catch a bigger wave, you realize how much power you have. The secret is to stay consistent. Just like the snowball, you don't need to make drastic changes overnight. Focus on continuing to save and invest. Let that momentum carry you forward. Once that snowball starts rolling, you're in a much stronger position to reach your financial goals faster. What may have seemed out of reach, like $100,000 or even $1 million, suddenly feels attainable. And the longer you stay consistent, the faster you're going to get there. Real-life example. How momentum works. For example, I had a friend who set out to save $10,000. Just like many of us do. But instead of stopping at that goal, he saw the potential in momentum. He didn't wait for a huge paycheck or a big win. He kept saving. And when he got his first raise, he boosted his contributions. Within just a few years, he had a portfolio worth over $50,000, and the momentum kept pushing him forward. Now, he's on track to hit $100,000. And looking back, he says he barely even noticed the climb. The beauty of the snowball effect is that it compounds over time. You don't have to start with massive contributions. You just have to start. And once you reach $10,000, you'll see for yourself how everything speeds up from there. This is how you begin to build real wealth. And the best part? The momentum you create can carry you through even the toughest financial obstacles, accelerating your journey toward your next big goal. So, keep pushing, keep saving, and most importantly, keep that snowball rolling. 3. Emergency buffer. Protection against life's curveballs. We've all heard the saying, Murphy's Law, that anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And honestly, it's not just a cliche, it's an inevitability. Life has a way of throwing unexpected curveballs at us. You might lose your job, face a sudden medical emergency, or even deal with unexpected home repairs. These things are inevitable, and the truth is, they'll happen when you least expect them. But here's the good news. Having a solid financial cushion can make these curveballs much easier to handle. And this is where that first $10,000 becomes incredibly valuable. I remember a time not too long ago when I faced one of life's unexpected challenges. My car broke down. It wasn't just a small repair either. It was a major breakdown, and the cost to fix it was almost $2,000. I had to get a new engine, and with a family to support, that could have thrown me into a financial tailspin. If I didn't have any savings, I would have had to scramble to come up with the money. But because I had that emergency buffer in place, I was able to handle the repair without skipping a beat. I didn't have to rely on credit cards or borrow money from friends or family. This is exactly why having $10,000 saved up is so crucial. It may not be a massive fortune, but it's enough to give you peace of mind and financial stability during the storm. Think about it. Medical bills, a car breakdown, or an emergency home repair. It's amazing how fast these costs can add up. Having that $10,000 cushion means you're not scrambling to make ends meet or putting your future in jeopardy. Instead of worrying about how you'll pay for these emergencies, you can focus on solving the problem at hand. Let me give you another example. I know someone who went through a tough time with an unexpected medical issue. They had to go to the hospital for surgery, and while insurance covered most of the bill, there were still co-pays and out-of-pocket expenses that weren't fully covered. Without savings, this could have been a nightmare, but because they had a financial cushion, they were able to deal with the bills calmly. Without accumulating massive debt, they were able to focus on their recovery rather than stressing about money. Having this kind of emergency buffer is often overlooked, but it's one of the most valuable things you can have when life throws you off course. It's not just about dealing with the small bumps in the road. It's about having the mental clarity and emotional bandwidth to handle whatever comes your way. And let's be real, when you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're constantly worried about the next unexpected expense. It's exhausting, mentally and emotionally. But once you've saved that $10,000, suddenly you're able to breathe a little easier. You're not living under the constant pressure of, what if something goes wrong? You've already got a buffer in place to take care of things. And that peace of mind is worth its weight in gold. This isn't just about handling the small problems. It's about being able to thrive despite them. Think of it like this. When you're constantly dealing with financial stress, your mental energy is depleted. But when you have an emergency fund, that mental energy is freed up for more important things, like pursuing your career goals, investing in your health, and focusing on the bigger picture of building wealth. You're no longer stuck in the weeds, constantly playing catch-up. You're able to focus on what really matters. In fact, I've heard from numerous successful entrepreneurs, investors, and professionals that having a financial cushion is one of the primary reasons for their success. They're not constantly bogged down by the fear of losing everything or being blindsided by an unexpected bill. Instead, they have the freedom to take calculated risks, seize opportunities, and make decisions with clarity. This freedom gives them the ability to scale their businesses, invest in bigger opportunities, and live their lives without the constant pressure of financial uncertainty. The most successful people I know didn't get to where they are by simply earning more money. They learned how to manage and protect the money they had. They understood that without a safety net, you're walking a financial tightrope with no net beneath you. Having $10,000 saved up isn't just a safety net, it's the platform you can leap from to take more ambitious steps. Without it, you're stuck on the sidelines, afraid to make moves. This cushion doesn't just protect your financial life, it empowers you. It allows you to make better decisions, pursue your dreams without hesitation, and take risks with confidence. And trust me, once you experience the mental freedom that comes with having that financial buffer, you won't look back. It's one of the most valuable things you can do for yourself. So don't wait for a crisis to realize the importance of this emergency fund. Start building it now. And when life does throw those curveballs at you, you'll be ready. 4. The unfair money risk-reward ratio. Here's something that most people don't fully understand. Once you hit $10,000, the dynamics of investing change dramatically. It's not just about the amount you're putting in, it's about how much better your returns get in relation to the amount of risk you're taking on. At first glance, it might seem like a complicated concept, But when you break it down, it becomes crystal clear, and it's a game changer for building wealth. Let me give you a simple example to illustrate this. Imagine you're just starting out and you decide to invest $10 in the stock market. Let's say you get a 10% return, which is a decent return on any investment. That's $1. While $1 is nice, let's be honest, it's not going to change your life, right? You can't even buy a fancy cup of coffee with it. It's a good learning experience, but it doesn't exactly move the needle when it comes to growing your wealth. Now, let's say you've been able to save up $10,000 and you make the same 10% return. Guess what? That's now $1,000. Same risk, but a much bigger reward. The math here is simple, but the impact is profound. With $10,000, you're earning $1,000 from that same 10% return. And that's a massive difference. It's the same risk, but the reward is exponentially greater. And here's the kicker. Once you've hit that $10,000 milestone, you're no longer just hoping to earn a little bit. You're starting to see serious money work for you. This is the power of scaling your wealth. When you have a larger base of capital, you're able to earn much more substantial returns without taking on any more risk. Think about it. The more money you save and invest, the better your ability to leverage opportunities that come with higher returns. When you're working with larger sums, even small percentages can make a massive difference. Take this example a little further. If you're investing $10,000 and earning a 10% return, after 1 year you have $11,000. The next year, if you make another 10% return, you earn $1,100, not just $1,000 like before. Because you're now earning on your $11,000. This is compound growth. You're not just earning on your original investment. You're earning on everything that your money has generated so far. And the longer this cycle continues, the more powerful it becomes. At some point, you might even reach a point where your money is working for you so effectively that you don't have to actively work for every dollar anymore. This is why $10 might not change your life, but $10,000 definitely can. And here's the secret, it's all about momentum. Once you hit that $10,000 mark, you've unlocked the ability to scale your wealth much faster than you ever could with smaller amounts. For example, let's say you're fortunate enough to get a higher return on your investments, maybe 15% instead of 10%. With $10,000, that's a $1,500 return. But if you're still at $1,000, that same 15% return will only give you $150. The key takeaway here is that the more you save, the more opportunities you have to grow your money, and the greater the potential returns. While $10 might seem insignificant on its own, it's the accumulation of small investments over time that leads to serious wealth-building opportunities. And when you have $10,000 in your investment portfolio, you have the ability to explore more advanced wealth-building strategies. Whether it's real estate, higher growth stocks, or even starting your own business, having that $10,000 allows you to take more calculated risks with the potential for higher rewards. I've seen countless people who started with modest amounts of money, but once they reach that $10,000 milestone, their mindset shifts. They begin to look at the world differently. Instead of seeing their savings as a small, fragile amount, they see the power they now hold to make bigger moves. With $10,000, you start thinking about long-term strategies, investments that will compound over time. You can start taking bigger risks because you've created a cushion to fall back on. And you can afford to invest in opportunities that might have seemed out of reach before. It's all about leveraging what you have. Whether you're earning 5%, 10%, or 15% returns, the beauty of hitting that $10,000 milestone is that you can start scaling. And once you do, you'll quickly realize that wealth building isn't about how much money you make, it's about how much money you can keep and grow. The earlier you start, the more compounding benefits you'll reap. So, don't get discouraged if you're not seeing the massive returns immediately. The key is persistence and consistency. The power of $10,000 is not just in reaching it, but in the momentum it gives you to start earning much larger returns. And that, my friends, is where the real wealth building journey begins. 5. Debt freedom. Why clearing credit card debt first is crucial. When it comes to building wealth, there's one critical obstacle that can slow your progress more than anything else, and that's debt. Particularly credit card debt. I'm sure you've heard this before. But let's break it down in a way that makes it crystal clear why dealing with credit card debt should be your top priority before diving into the world of investing. As of 2024, the average credit card interest rate in the US hovers above 20%. Let that sink in for a moment. 20% interest on any outstanding balance you carry. This number is staggering, especially when compared to the average returns on most investments. For instance, the historical average return of the stock market is around 7 to 10% per year. So, if you're carrying credit card debt, you're essentially paying a 20% fee to borrow that money, while any investments you make might only earn you 7 to 10%. The math is clear. You're losing money by not addressing this high-interest debt first. Let me share a personal story that really drove this point home for me. I had a friend in college who saved up $3,000 for a dream European vacation. He was pumped. He'd been planning this trip for months. Everything was set, and the moment had finally come. But here's where things took a turn. He decided to extend his trip last minute. He hadn't planned for the additional costs and, instead of sticking to his budget, he started swiping his credit card to cover the extra expenses. What started as a well-intentioned vacation spiraled into something much worse. By the time he got back home, he found himself with thousands of dollars in credit card debt. And to make matters worse, those high interest rates on his cards were compounding every single month, making the debt harder and harder to pay off. Now, you might be thinking, that's a bad situation, but I'm smarter than that. And I hope you are. But the lesson here is about the dangers of letting high interest debt accumulate. If you're in a similar situation, where you have credit card debt, or even worse, multiple cards with balances, you're in the same boat my friend was in. No matter how much you earn or how hard you're hustling to save, the longer you let that debt hang over you, the more it grows, often faster than you can keep up with. Here's why it's critical to clear your debt first before diving into investing. Imagine you're running a race, and you've got a 20-pound weight strapped to your ankle. Every step you take feels harder and slower. That weight is your credit card debt. It's holding you back from moving forward as quickly and efficiently as you could. Now, investing while carrying high-interest credit card debt is exactly like that. The longer you let that debt hang around, the more time and energy you waste. Instead of your money working for you, you're just throwing it into a black hole that keeps getting deeper. By paying off your credit card debt first, you're not just freeing yourself from that constant pressure, you're actually setting yourself up for greater financial success in the future. Once that high-interest burden is lifted, you'll have more flexibility and mental space to focus on your real wealth-building strategies. You can start making investments that actually pay off without worrying about how much interest you're being charged on your credit cards. It's like this. Paying off debt is the ultimate form of guaranteed return. If you pay off a credit card with 20% interest, that's an immediate 20% return on your money, better than any investment you could find. Once that is cleared, you'll have more disposable income to direct toward wealth-building activities that will grow your money long-term. I understand the allure of investing, especially when you see people making great returns in the stock market, real estate, or crypto. But here's the truth. Those returns won't be as meaningful if you're still in debt. The weight of high-interest debt can drag you down so much that any money you make from investments will be swallowed up by interest payments, leaving you feeling stuck. So, what should you do? First, get aggressive about paying down your credit card debt. Start with the card with the highest interest rate and knock it out first. Once that's cleared, take the amount you were paying on your credit card bills and redirect it into your savings and investments. Now, you'll be building wealth in a way that's sustainable and powerful, instead of fighting a losing battle with interest rates. Once you've cleared that debt, you'll be able to invest with confidence, knowing that every dollar you put toward your future is working for you. You're no longer fighting a losing battle with debt, but rather letting your money work for you, building on itself and compounding over time. And trust me, once you get rid of the debt and start building that momentum, the path to financial freedom gets a whole lot clearer. So, if you're looking to build wealth, make it a priority to clear your high-interest debt first. Not only will you free yourself from the burden of debt, but you'll also be in a much stronger position to take advantage of wealth-building opportunities when they arise. The road to financial freedom isn't always glamorous, but it is incredibly rewarding when you approach it with the right mindset and strategy. 6. Building financial discipline. The foundation for long-term wealth. Building wealth is about more than just making money. It's about developing solid financial habits that can carry you through both good times and bad. You'd be surprised how many people, even those who earn decent incomes, fail to establish good financial practices. It's estimated that 44% of Americans wouldn't be able to cover an unexpected $1,000 expense. That's a staggering statistic, and it really shows how many people are living paycheck to paycheck. without the financial discipline necessary to build long-term wealth. Now, when you hit the milestone of saving or earning $10,000, it's a huge win. It's proof that you've started to build a solid habit of saving, managing your money, and prioritizing your financial future. But here's the thing. Just because you've hit that mark doesn't mean you've cracked the code to financial success. It's just the beginning. The real challenge, and the real test of your financial discipline, is going from $10,000 to $100,000. And to do that, you need to turn those early steps into lasting habits, because ultimately, wealth building comes down to consistency, not just one-time efforts. In his book The Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg breaks down the science of habit formation, and it's incredibly relevant when it comes to managing your money. According to Duhigg, the key to lasting habits is something called the habit loop, which consists of 3 parts. Q. This is the trigger that prompts a financial behavior. It could be something simple like receiving your paycheck or getting a tax refund. In many cases, it's the moment that calls you to take action, like checking your bank account after a payment or deciding whether to spend or save that bonus. Once you recognize the cues that trigger your financial behavior, you can choose to make deliberate choices that align with your long-term goals. Routine. The next step is where you form the habit. It's not enough to just have money come in. You have to make a financial choice that aligns with your vision for wealth building. This could mean deciding to save a portion of your paycheck, investing a set amount every month, or automating your savings so you don't even have to think about it. A good routine might be to take 10% of every paycheck and put it into an emergency fund or retirement account. It's not always the flashy, exciting choices that matter most, it's the consistent, small decisions you make that will compound over time. Reward. The final part of the habit loop is the benefit you get from your action. And this is key. Financial discipline isn't always about feeling gratification in the moment. The reward you get from saving or investing today might not be immediately visible. But over time, you'll see your money growing, your financial security strengthening, and your confidence building. You'll feel that sense of accomplishment when you're not living paycheck to paycheck, when you can absorb a financial emergency without panic, and when your net worth starts growing steadily. That long-term reward is what keeps you going, even when it feels like the sacrifice isn't paying off right away. The real magic comes from mastering this habit loop, when you can program your brain to consistently save and invest, to make deliberate financial choices, and to see the reward in your growing wealth. You're on the path to true financial discipline. It's not about having everything figured out at once, it's about creating repeatable, sustainable habits that will eventually build massive wealth over time. Think about it. The difference between someone who earns $10,000 and someone who turns that into $100,000 is often consistency and patience. It's sticking to the plan, even when you're tempted to splurge or divert from your goal. For example, if you're putting aside $500 a month into an investment account and you continue to do that every month, it will compound. The longer you stick to this habit, the more momentum your wealth builds. And guess what happens once you get that $100,000? Your wealth building habits start paying even bigger dividends, and you can accelerate your progress toward the $1 million mark. This is where the power of consistency really becomes apparent. Building wealth is not about huge, one-time wins or quick fixes. It's about forming financial habits that, even in small doses, add up over time. A great example of this is Warren Buffett, who famously said, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." The same can be said for financial discipline. The truly wealthy are those who consistently make the right financial decisions, day in and day out. So, how do you go from $10,000 to $100,000 and beyond? Start with your habits, automate your savings, set clear financial goals, and stick to the routines that will get you there. Don't get distracted by the latest financial, hot tips, or quick schemes. Those may sound exciting, but the real wealth building power lies in the day-to-day discipline of managing your money well. Whether you're cutting back on unnecessary expenses, finding ways to earn more income, or investing consistently, every action you take strengthens your foundation. Over time, these habits will propel you forward, from $10,000 to $100,000, and beyond to financial freedom. Remember, the key to long-term wealth is building financial discipline, not perfection. So, start small, stay consistent, and watch your wealth grow. Conclusion: a wealthy future awaits. As we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered. Hitting that first $10,000 is more than just a financial milestone. It's a turning point in your wealth-building journey. It's the moment where everything starts to click. The mindset shift you experience, the momentum you build, the buffer you create for life's unexpected challenges, and the solid financial habits you develop, it's all part of laying the groundwork for lasting success. You see, the hardest part is always the beginning. That first $10,000 feels like the steepest climb because you're working through mental barriers, fighting off doubts, and proving to yourself that you can create real wealth. But once you hit that mark, it changes everything. You begin to see what's possible, not just for today, but for the future. And this is the beautiful thing about financial growth. Once you make the shift, it becomes easier to move to the next level. It's like unlocking a new level in a video game. Every new achievement feels more achievable than the last. So, what's the big takeaway here? Well, first and foremost, the journey to financial success begins with that first $10,000. It's not about the money itself, but about the transformation that happens when you hit that milestone. You start to believe in your ability to build wealth. You start to see opportunities where you once saw only obstacles. And once that shift happens, the sky's the limit. But here's where it gets real. Building wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. You can't expect overnight results, and you can't afford to rush the process. This is where many people falter. They want quick returns, instant results, and they forget that true wealth is built over time, through patience and discipline. When you're saving, investing, and making intentional financial decisions every day, it compounds, and that's how you build a fortune. Think about it. You're not just trying to save money. You're building a foundation for financial freedom. And the secret to making that foundation rock solid is consistency. Small decisions, consistently made over time, create massive results. That's what gets you from $10,000 to $100,000 and beyond. It's not about the big wins, it's about the habit of always making progress, even if it's just one step at a time. And that brings me to something incredibly important. Stay disciplined. You'll face temptations, setbacks, and challenges along the way. There will be times when it feels like you're not making progress fast enough. You'll look around at others and wonder how they're doing it. But remember this, it's not about comparison. It's about consistency. Your journey is yours alone. And every time you make a responsible financial choice, you're moving closer to the life you want to create. So, here's what I want you to do next. Take action. If you haven't already, set that goal of getting your first $10,000 saved or earned. Don't focus on the next 100 grand yet. Focus on getting that first milestone. It's what will unlock your potential and give you the confidence to move forward. The journey is long, but it's worth it. Take small steps every day. Stay focused on your financial goals. And, most importantly, be patient with yourself. I can't tell you how many people give up right before they hit the breakthrough moment. Don't be that person. Keep going, stay disciplined, and remind yourself every day that your financial future is worth the effort. It's limitless. The possibilities that open up once you master your money, once you understand how to make it work for you instead of the other way around, are endless. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you've gained some valuable insights and actionable steps that will help you build the wealth you deserve. Remember, the first $10,000 is just the beginning, but it's a beginning that will change everything. Stay focused, keep growing, and I'll see you in the next video, ready to take the next step toward your limitless success. Take care, and stay wealthy.